everyone, welcome to the official YouTube channel of IP Mat by LPT. Every time I start the video with, we have someone really special with us, and this time I genuinely have someone really special because her story is so inspiring, which you will be seeing in the coming minutes. So stay tuned and also welcome Vidushi Shandalia, who secured All India Rank 3 in IP Mat Indore 2026. Thank you so much. I'm quite happy and glad to be here with you. And I would love to help LPT students with whatever experience that I have. Right. So now, because we were talking off camera, there's a lot that I want to discuss. But what we discussed was something that have caught our attention, and that was your journey to IIM Indore. So, for those of you who don't know, I want you all to know that before we talk about how you got into IPMAT, how you prepared for IPMAT, there's one part of your journey which is you were preparing for engineering, but you switched to IPMAT, and it was a little secret that you kept from your family. So, I want you to shed light on that. So I was initially a JEE student. After 10th, I wasn't very aware of my options, I would say. Because in India, we have a typical mentality of JEE, NEET, CA. We are not very aware of other options, like LPT is targeting CLAT and now IPMAT. These are certain alternatives which are not the first choice for many Indian parents. And because I did not spend a lot of time researching and I assumed that, okay, I followed the herd mentality, I chose JE, did not put enough thought. And then when I did discover JE, when I started preparing for engineering exams in 11th grade, after 1 year, I got a glimpse of what my life would look like as an engineering student, and I did not like what I was seeing. I felt like it was not aligning with who I am, and I felt like I would not be able to perform my best in that domain. So I started looking for alternatives. I researched a lot, and I came across IPMAT. Now, because this is a relatively newer exam and I was unsure of how my parents would receive this, I started preparing by myself, self study, and I prepared for a lot of exams on my own up until I am Bangalore's UG80. After which, once I did get a call from I am Bangalore. That is when I shared this with my parents, and my parents got a lot more confidence seeing that I was able to score and I was able to get calls, rather than if I would have just told them randomly that, hey, I don't want to do JE anymore. Because it would have felt very fickle that I am leaving JE for an exam which is new, which is, you could say, still in a nebulous phase, and not a lot of people in our society are aware about it. So it was a risky move, but eventually, looking at my scores, looking at my dedication, looking at my interest, my parents were able to understand, and they were able to appreciate the effort that I put in, by myself. So that was a little bit of a secret, you could say. Right. So my next question is why IPMAT? Like you were preparing for engineering, which is a whole different segment together, and then there is IPMAT, another world. Like two sides of the, you say, the two poles, right? We have north and south. So, what made you attract or invested in IPMAT? So, my original plan was always a BTech then an MBA. The typical plan for an ideal Indian kid, middle class Indian kid. So I thought that, okay, if I want to, I was quite sure of pivoting into management eventually, but I was not aware of the options. So I thought, okay, BTech and then MBA is the only viable path. Um, but then when I did discover IPMAT and I realized that, okay, maybe I'm not that good at engineering, or maybe this is not what I would like to see myself doing for the next 4 years. Again, then pivoting to MBA with a CAT, and the entire process is quite lengthy as well and risky as an engineer, as general engineer. So then I felt like, why waste those couple of years if I'm interested in this and if I'm getting the choice of learning management at the undergrad level itself from an IIM, and IIM is a very prestigious tag, then why not? So that is when I realized I took the decision of switching. And I would say that yes, they are different exams, but in a lot of the ways they also complement each other, because the mathematics that engineering prep taught me through JEE was quite helpful for IP Math as well. And through determination, through hard work, I was able to perform well in the English section as well. So IB Mat, I feel like, is an exam wherein if you put in effort and you have will, your willpower, and you are disciplined, definitely from any stream you can make it.
Right. And you know, Vidushi, because you secured All India rank 3, you must have received these questions, or because you were from JEE background. So it must have been easy for you to, ace IP math. Why? Because you come from a math background and it is easier for you to solve mathematical questions. So I want you to tell those students who are from non-mathematical background the reality check. I want you all to give them a reality check.
Okay, first of all, I was not born a math student. I had to put in that effort in math. So it was not that just because I took JEE, it came naturally to me. I would like to tell you that I did put in the effort for JEE, which converted into IP math. It translated into those results. But I did put in the effort. I didn't have it easier than you do. And for non-math students, see, IP Mat is not your board exam. You don't need to score 100 on 100 like your boards, or to make it. I personally scored 249 out of 360. Now, even as a safe score for a general, even if you get anywhere around 220, I would say, taking a range of 220 to 240, even if you have a 240 score, you're basically scoring 66%. 66% is doable, right? And if you're a non-math student, if you skip even 40% of the questions, you can still convert Indore with a single digit rank. So, as a non-math student, I would say please don't get demotivated and please don't fret. IP Math questions, see, there are easy questions, there are moderate questions, and there are hard questions. What you need to do is you need to learn how to ruthlessly skip the hard questions, which do not, which of course they're not worth the time, and you need to be able to identify which is the easy question, which is a moderate question. So, in your first round, when you're attempting any mock or any paper, attempt all of the easy questions first. As a non-math student or as an applied math student, even easy questions can be done and can be scored. And I can guarantee you, the easy questions by itself will clear your cutoff for a good rank and to have that cushion so that your convert is much easier. Then you go on to the moderate questions. Try to solve as many moderate questions as possible. If there are certain topics that you feel are hard or you feel like they're high input, low output, don't worry. You can choose to give higher attention and focus more on high yield topics rather than stressing on completing the syllabus. But yes, the topics that you do cover, make sure you have a high accuracy in them. I think that game of selection and selecting the right questions and rejecting the hard questions is also an important skill, and that skill will help you convert in your as a math student, non-math student, whichever background you come from.
And it's also about knowing your strengths and weaknesses. The
Yes.
earlier you know, the better it is, right?
Agreed. Agreed. Definitely.
And now, because we are talking about selections, so students later on realize, like, when IIMs are selecting you, they are judging you, or they're actually uh, you are eligible if you have a certain academic score, if you have certain academic profile, extracurriculars, and extracurriculars play an important role. And Vidushi, I want you to shed light on ECAs now.
So, definitely a holistic profile is much appreciated by IIM professors. The game is quite simple. Look, if you have good CATs, you have a good history, you have good CAs, that leaves a good impression. Uh, we might say that, oh, the IIM professors will not judge you, they will judge you on the basis of your interview. But the truth is, before you enter the room, they will read your SOP, they will look at your resume, and they've already made an image of you in their mind. And if you have a low CAT score, if you have a low board score, even if there's no component of the board score, because Indore doesn't have, Rohtak does have a component in the composite score, Kozhikode may have, but a lot of people think that, oh, Indore doesn't have a component in their score, so then why should I work so hard? But no, if you have a low board score in your profile, the professor is going to wonder, does this person actually work hard? Does this person maintain their consistency? Does this person maintain a standard? The professor might wonder, okay, if your academics was so low, how will you survive in Indore? The curriculum is very intensive. So it's not just about entering the institute, it's about surviving it as well. So definitely don't ignore your cats. I would say no matter which background you're from, which board you're from, definitely 90 plus is the target one should keep. Uh, the higher the better. Plus, if your CADs are strong, you're able to answer interview based questions quite well. So in your PI, you're able to present yourself better and you leave a good impression. ECAs, if you're someone from 9th or 10th, I would definitely recommend you to pursue passion projects, to pursue your hobbies and interests, get good certifications, good experience, internships. Definitely, these are valuable additions to your resume and again leaves a very good impression in the minds of your panelists. Also, the panelists get new questions to ask you. So because I play chess, because I play the piano, the panelists could ask me a lot of questions. Because I'm an avid reader, because I cook as well, the panelists have a wide variety of questions to ask me, and I am prepared to answer those questions. If you're someone who doesn't have ECAs, the professor will ask you anything under the sun, which is even more riskier. The professor might ask you about a random GK fact or about current affairs. It's more likely to happen in your case, or a harder a cat's question because they have got nothing else to ask you about. Also, as a person, to develop a personality, a charismatic personality, you need to have ECAs. I'm a strong believer of that. Only because I attended so many MUNs, I've anchored events at my school, I had positions of responsibility, I actively interacted with people, which helped eventually in my PI prep. So, as you can see, ECAs, translate and give you so much of output in so many different ways that it is definitely a worthwhile investment. Even in the 11th grade, you can try and continue as much as you can, whichever, whatever time permits. In the 12th grade, I would still say that then IP Mac in the written test prep and your PI prep should have a higher priority. Right. Because there are a lot of people as well in Indore who have converted with strong IP Mac scores and strong PI who may not have had a ECA list as exhaustive as mine. So I'm not saying that it is a do or die factor, but yes, it gives you brownie points and it's
Right.
worth the investment.
And because you have to also understand IPMAT is not just another exam. It is a different exam. It's not like you're just getting tested based on the score that you have received in the exam. The actual exam that you gave, you have a PI, and in PI, various factors are considered. You still have time now. You can start preparing on that. You can start working on things that you don't have time later on to work upon. Like if you could just shed light on your ECAs as well, like you mentioned, you did chess, you played piano, and what else you were into?
I started the nature club in my school. I have attended a lot of environmental activism conferences at the national level, international level. Um, I had a lot of fundraisers in my school. I was the house captain, so I had a lot of positions of responsibility as well. So I've tried my hands at quite a few things, a lot of certifications, Olympiads, etc.
And this is something that you can do while you are in school. You don't
Definitely.
have to do an extra effort. Extra effort as in separately, you don't have to take out much of your time of your 24 hours. This
Yeah.
is something while you're being at school and you're just being part of a nature club.
It could, yeah, definitely. And it could be something as simple as perhaps reading. If you're an avid reader and if you read classics or if you read good books and if you're able to talk about them and have a good opinion on them, that is also a very valuable skill. As I mentioned, cooking is another interest. Maybe you dance, maybe you sing, you play an instrument. These are things that anyway we do for leisure, right? Right. Some people prefer doing art for leisure. I do mandalas quite a few times.
That's
That is
really
also
good.
something that can be presented in a positive light. So I am quite sure there is no student out there who's studying 24 by 7. You're definitely doing something else on the side. So if you think hard enough, you'll definitely have some ECA already ready in your profile. You just need to hone that skill.
Right. And since we are talking about doing so many things at a single time in a year or two, if they're preparing for 2 years, if they're preparing for 1 year, how does a student need to manage their school and their IP preparation? This is the question, universal question that every student has. 11th में है तो कैसे पढ़ाई करनी है, 12th में है तो हमारे boards हैं, pre boards हैं, and at the same time, just after boards and pre boards, we have our IP mat exam. How do we do that?
So if you're in 11th, it's a golden period. 11th, try to fix your fundamentals, cover all of the topics. I would say try to cover your syllabus as much as possible in 11th itself. Um, And 11th you'll get a lot more free time, so definitely ECAs and syllabus. In 12th I do understand that the schedule gets hectic with your pre-boards, boards, vivas, and etc. So on days that you have an examination or anything, I understand if you're only able to give an hour a day, but that means the days that you do get free time, like on your weekends or during Diwali or during Holi, you need to give 12-hour days, right? And I know it feels very cruel, giving away your holidays and stuff, and your friends are out partying or your friends are out playing, and then you are in your house studying. But look, it's just these 2 years you give your best, then the career is set. You get to be at a wonderful institution. So you know it is worth it in the end. So these are small sacrifices you need to make along the way, and you cannot slack on days that you get your holidays. You cannot have a backlog, because if you're in 11th and thinking, oh, I have 2 years, it's manageable. No, 12th will be too hectic for you. So make sure you give as much time as possible in 11th and 12th starting. Give 1 hour, half an hour bit of prep for IPMAT during your pre-boards and boards. Just maintain that habit, don't lose momentum. And I think it should be manageable overall. It averages out.
Okay. And what about those who are right now in 12th?
Okay, so in 12th itself, on your school level, I'm assuming you must have done quite a bit of math. So you do not need to waste time doing. See, math cannot be done passively. If you're watching lectures and if you're only passively solving questions or easy level questions, then you're wasting your time. In 12th, you have to have an surgical approach, and you have to have a very but you have to be very particular, and you need to narrow things down. So I would say directly start solving mocks. Try to emphasize on mocks more during your 12th grade. Try to learn from analyzing the mocks itself. So if there's some question that you don't know, then maybe look at that concept or resolve that question instead of watching that entire lecture and then doing the mock and then analyzing it again. And in the 12th grade, again, English as well. English is something that you learn along the way. So start giving mocks. You will eventually get with the mocks you'll get enough practice.
Correct. You also get to know where you are actually standing as well.
Yes.
What all you have covered till now, be it syllabus, be it whether you have worked on your strengths, your weaknesses, or not. All right. Now, when we talk about exam, the next very step is PI preparation. And this is one thing that many students struggle with. So, how was your journey when it came to PI preparation?
So my very first PI was of IIM Bangalore, which I feel like I sort of overestimated my capabilities and underestimated the interview itself. So I did not have that many mock PIs because I've had a lot of public speaking experience, but this was my fault because I am APIs are a different ball game altogether. I was waitlisted in Bangalore, and it was for good reason because I feel like my content preparation wasn't as good, or I had not, given as many in-person interviews or stress interviews to really groom myself in that direction. I did not repeat that mistake even for my indoor and other interviews, and I aggressively worked and I gave almost 20 plus mock PIs then. And what is important is first of all content. So you have to touch bases, CATS, HR, current affairs and GK, ECAs if you have any internships and all, you need to be prepared for such questions. And then sometimes they ask riddles as well. So you need to go through transcripts. You need to go through mock PI videos on YouTube. There's very good content available on LPD as well and other channels. So you need to keep looking at these. You have to expose yourself to many different types of panelists, professors, types of questions, so that you prepare for anything that comes your way. Also, PI is about maintaining calm and composure, being able to present yourself well, having presence of mind, even if you don't know the answer, being very humble and accepting, sorry, ma'am, sorry, sir, I'm not aware, but I will read about this again. Just having that honesty and not bluffing can have a much better impact than, say, fibbing about the answer, even if you don't know the answer or.
Like any incident that happened with you?
So, in fact, in my Indore interview itself, there was one question about why 0 factorial is equal to 1. So I was not aware of the actual reason why it is. It is primarily a form of notation. But on the spot, this is my approach. I said, sorry, sir, sorry, ma'am, I'm not aware, but I would like to give it a try. So they appreciated that spirit of trying. Then what I did is that I made a formula by myself that n minus 1 factorial is equal to n factorial by n. So when you put 1 factorial upon 1, that gives you 1. So n minus 1, which is 0, 0 factorial is equal to 1. So I just made that on the spot. And although it did prove 0 factorial is equal to 1, mathematically it's not an accepted form, because then you would have factorials for negative numbers. So, but still, because I was able to produce some form of answer, the panelists were happy that at least this child tries. And in IIMs, they appreciate that sort of curiosity and that problem solving ability. Another incident is at Rohtak, there was some, in the IPL interview, there were some law based questions for some legal cases which I was not aware of. I think it was about the Vishakha case. There was a certain question asked which I was not able to answer. So then I just admitted politely that, sorry, ma'am, sorry, sir, I'm not aware of this, but I will go home and I will Google this and I will read about this. So that by itself shows that, okay, the child did not, if you just say, I don't know, that gives a very bad impression. That shows a very casual behavior, showing that, okay, you are apologetic and showing that you are willing to improve yourself gives a much better impression. So the way to handle these questions and the way to maintain yourself during such rounds, you can only do that by giving a lot of mock BIs.
So Vidushi, one more thing. We just discussed academic strategy, है ना, mocks देने चाहिए, analysis. So every student knows by this time कि हाँ ठीक है, mock भी देना है, analyze भी करना है, वो करे नहीं करे. But what is that one particular underrated thing that students often ignore?
Handling yourself emotionally after a mock and that periods of uncertainty. There will be days when you score low and you will feel like this is impossible. I'm not worthy of this. I may not be able to do this. Some days you will score high and you'll be like, okay, I am going to Indore. That is confirmed. But the truth is that no mock score can guarantee your result. Whether it's a low score or high score, any kind of score, it's just a score. It's a data point. So please don't attach yourself emotionally. Just take it as data, just take it as insight. Even during a mock itself, if the QA section goes badly, don't let it emotionally affect your VA. Right? So do not carry your emotional baggage. Don't think that, oh, the previous mock I've done so poorly. What will I do in this mock? Do not emotionally carry that burden. And see, it's not over until it's over. Right? Don't give up until the actual exam. Don't think that, oh, maybe I started prep late, or my scores are too low, or I'm not a good speaker. Do not emotionally spiral, or don't let that anxiety eat you. Keep showing up every day, keep giving your best, and eventually it all comes together, and it all comes together beautifully. You just need to have trust in yourself. Of course, journaling, meditation, these practices do help. Mindfulness practices. It takes 10 to 15 minutes a day, but it helps people like me who overthink a lot. So that is one emotional strategy that I would suggest.
All right, and if you had to sum up your IP Math journey, and what next question would be, what advice you will be giving to upcoming IP Math aspirants?
Don't be scared of mocks. Please give them, whether it's a mock test for IP Math or it's a mock PI, don't be scared of failing very poorly or anything in that particular mock test or mock PI. It's fine. It's good. Make all of the mistakes here. Exhaust all of the mistakes you could have, so that on D-Day there's no mistakes left to be made. So that is one thing I would recommend to everybody.
All right, thank you, Vidushi. It was lovely talking to you. And if you guys have any question, any doubt, feel free to drop them down in the comment box below, and we will be very happy on behalf of Vidushi to answer you back. Thank you.
But it was a little shocking to me.
No, this is not an irrational decision.
पैसे तो हमारे अकाउंट में रहते, तो
I want to do IP Math now. I want to leave JEE. Any parent, any rational parent would get worried.
was it worth it?